In 1957, America was immersed in a sweet illusion named Leave It to Beaver. For decades, the Cleaver family was worshipped as society's gold standard. A suburban home with a white picket fence, a mother always wearing elegant pearls, a calm father offering wise advice, and kids with spotless, innocent childhoods. The show soothed the soul of an entire generation. But that was only what they allowed you to see on the black and white TV screen. Behind that sterile, flawless facade, the reality on set was an entirely different world. What if I told you that the calm smile of America's most exemplary father was actually a smokescreen hiding a devastating real-life family tragedy? Or that a child actress had to tightly wrap her chest in medical tape every single day in agonizing pain just to maintain a fake innocent look for the cameras? From insane censorship battles involving a toilet to child stars being banned from watching the very show they starred in. Today, let's peel back the perfect wallpaper of the Cleaver family. We will uncover 20 bizarre, dark, and untold truths about Leave It to Beaver. Number 1. The classic censorship battle over a toilet. In the 1950s, American television was a fiercely, suffocatingly censored wasteland. Married couples on screen even had to sleep in 2 separate twin beds to avoid sparking any impure thoughts. And showing audiences a bathroom? That was considered the ultimate moral crime. However, in October 1957, right in the series' second episode titled Captain Jack, Leave It to Beaver ignited an unprecedented battle. In this episode, brothers Wally and Beaver secretly buy a baby alligator and need to find a place to hide it. The safest spot? The toilet tank in the bathroom. When the script was submitted, the network censors lost their minds. They vehemently banned showing a toilet on national broadcasting, claiming it was too vulgar for a family show. The production team was forced into heated, tense negotiations that dragged on for weeks. Finally, a ridiculous compromise was reached. The crew was only allowed to shoot a close-up of the tank and the flush handle. The seat was absolutely forbidden from entering the frame. Even though it only appeared for a few fleeting seconds, that toilet tank made history, breaking one of the most absurd taboos and paving the way for the authenticity of American television later on. Number 2. Puberty trauma and the cruel medical tape. Audiences loved Judy Hensler, Beaver's sly, sharp-tongued classmate who was always at odds with him. Child actress Jerry Weil flawlessly played this role for 31 episodes before she suddenly vanished from the show without a word of goodbye. For decades, the media spun tales that she had been fired, but the truth behind that departure was an agonizing psychological wound about the price of being a child star. Years later, Jerry Weil bravely revealed to Remind magazine that she voluntarily asked the producers to write off her character to save her mental health. As filming dragged on, Jerry's body began entering puberty. She started developing a chest, but the script still required her to play an innocent elementary school girl. Instead of adjusting the script, the wardrobe department brought in thick rolls of medical tape, forcing her to tightly bind her chest every single day to flatten her body. The climax of this trauma happened during a baseball scene. Jerry was wearing a long skirt, and it happened to be the exact day she got her very first period. Surrounded by a set full of men and oblivious little boys, Jerry had to hit a home run and spin around in absolute terror that her sanitary pad would be exposed. The stress, shame, and humiliation of having her maturing body forcibly hidden broke her down. She walked off the set and never returned to acting again. Number 3. The heartbreaking pain hidden behind America's dad's smile. If there were a ranking for the most perfect fathers in television history, Ward Cleaver would undoubtedly claim the top spot. Actor Hugh Beaumont delivered the archetype of a calm, warm father who always had the wisest advice to solve all of his son's troubles. But Hollywood's greatest tragedy is forcing a shattered person to play a happy one. In 1959, just as the show entered its 3rd season and Hugh Beaumont's fame was at its brilliant peak, a tragedy struck his family. During a trip from Minnesota to Hollywood, his family's car was involved in a horrific traffic accident. His mother-in-law died instantly, and his biological son, Hunter, was severely injured. Amidst the grief and a heart crushed by loss, Beaumont was still bound by the network's strict contract. He had to swallow his tears, step onto the set every morning, put on his familiar cardigan sweater, smile kindly, and read lines about teaching his kids to play baseball. Colleagues recalled that, behind the scenes, Beaumont's eyes became lifeless and distant. He fulfilled his duties with a brutal level of professionalism. To millions of viewers, he was the symbol of a complete, happy home. But to him, every episode was a bitter reminder of a family that was forever broken in real life. Number 4. The chubby friend vanished because of a toxic mom. Larry Mondello, the chubby, snack-loving best friend who was always luring Beaver into trouble, was one of the show's most beloved supporting characters. However, after season 3, Larry suddenly vanished from the town of Mayfield without a trace. The script offered absolutely no explanation. Audiences at the time speculated that child actor Rusty Stevens' family wanted him to pull out so he could have a normal childhood. But the real behind-the-scenes secret was much more shocking. Actress Barbara Billingsley, who played Mother June, later broke the silence and revealed the core reason. The problem wasn't the boy, it was his own mother. Rusty Stevens' mom was a textbook stage mom, mothers obsessed with their children's fame. She constantly interfered with production, made irrational demands, demanded more screen time, and continually picked fights with the director. Her toxicity and endless bickering pushed the crew's patience to its absolute limit. To extinguish this seed of chaos, the producers made the ruthless decision to write off Larry's character entirely. Soon after, they immediately brought in the character Gilbert Bates, played by Stephen Talbot, as a replacement. If you pay close attention, you'll see that Gilbert was essentially just a clone created to fill Larry's shoes, allowing the show to continue its success without having to endure that troublesome mother for a single day more. Number 5. The $50,000 bowl of soup that almost bankrupted the studio. On May 6, 1961, American audiences were treated to an incredibly thrilling episode titled In the Soup. The story follows little Beaver being dared by his friends to climb up a massive billboard featuring a steaming bowl of soup to see if the soup was real. The result? The kid slips and gets tightly wedged inside the giant soup bowl suspended in mid-air, forcing the fire department to bring a ladder for a rescue. While audiences were laughing in delight, the producers were sweating bullets because they were bleeding money. In the 1960s, a standard sitcom episode only cost about $30,000 to produce. However, to realize the insane vision for this episode, the technical crew had to handcraft 2 gigantic billboards, an outdoor version for wide shots, and a massive replica built right inside the studio for close-ups of Beaver struggling. The cost to build this prop system devoured nearly $50,000, equivalent to hundreds of thousands of dollars today. The episode became iconic, but it completely drained the show's budget. The fallout was that for the remainder of that season, the crew had to tighten their belts miserably. They were forced to continually churn out scripts that took place entirely in the living room, ruthlessly cut down on background extras, and shoot in the cheapest settings possible just to plug the financial hole caused by that disastrous billboard. Number 6. The bizarre TV ban for the lead actors themselves. Imagine being the 2 most famous child stars in all of America, with your image plastered across every newspaper, but you have absolutely no idea what your own show looks like. That was the bizarre reality that Tony Dow and Jerry Mathers had to live through. Right when the show started getting popular, the producers held a secret meeting with the boys' parents and issued a cold directive. Tony and Jerry were strictly banned from watching Leave It to Beaver on television. The production team was deeply terrified that early fame would breed little Hollywood monsters. If the 2 boys saw themselves being worshipped by millions of fans on TV, they might become arrogant, conceited, and lose that natural, clumsy innocence, the core asset that gave their characters such charm. So, while millions of American families gathered to laugh in front of their screens every Saturday night, the real-life Cleaver brothers were completely isolated from the cultural phenomenon they themselves had created. They still went to regular public schools, did their homework, and played sports. It wasn't until they were adults that they actually sat down and watched the footage of their own childhoods in full. Number 7. The Cub Scout uniform and the apathy that made history. Finding a child actor to play Theodore Beaver. Cleaver was an arduous process. The producers interviewed hundreds of Hollywood boys. They all walked into the audition room in dapper suits, slicked back hair, flashing industrial smiles meticulously trained by their parents. But 5-year-old Jerry Mathers walked into the room with an entirely different attitude. The little guy was wearing a wrinkled Cub Scout uniform, looking restless and constantly checking the clock. When the director asked why he was dressed like that, Jerry answered bluntly without an ounce of hesitation. He had a Cub Scout den meeting right after this. He didn't want to be here auditioning at all, and he just wanted everyone to please hurry up so he could go play with his friends. Jerry's impatience, authenticity, lack of calculation, and total disregard for fame delivered a fatal blow to the producer's psychology. They didn't need a child actor who knew how to act cute. They needed a real kid. It was exactly that carefree attitude that helped Jerry Mathers beat out hundreds of professional rivals to snatch one of the most iconic roles of the 20th century. Number 8. The older brother's shattered Olympic dream. Before becoming Wally Cleaver, the national big brother, with a gentle smile and incredible composure, Tony Dow never had any intention of stepping into the entertainment industry. In real life, young Tony's life trajectory was programmed to make him a professional athlete, not a Hollywood actor. Starting from age 5, Tony spent the vast majority of his time grueling away at the pool, honing his acrobatics and water entry skills. With natural talent, by age 9, he excellently won the AAU Junior Olympic Diving Championship. The boy had mapped out a clear path: continue high-intensity training to represent the United States at the 1972 Olympic Games. However, fate took a different turn when his mother, a former stuntwoman, asked him to tag along to an audition just to see what it's like. His rugged athlete's physique, combined with his natural charm, instantly caught the director's eye. The lucrative offer from the TV network permanently pulled Tony off the diving board, extinguishing his Olympic dream, but launching a massive television legacy. Number 9. A true brotherhood in real life. The show's success relied heavily on the incredibly natural chemistry between brothers Wally and Beaver. Many viewers assumed it was just brilliant script writing, but the truth is that affection was 100% real. Contrary to the misconception some had that Jerry Mathers was older in real life, the casting department actually worked with surgical precision. Tony Dow was born in April 1945, making him exactly 3 years older than Jerry Mathers, who was born in June 1948. Tony Dow didn't just play the big brother on screen. In real life, he also acted as a devoted protector to Mathers. Despite the fierce competition typically seen among Hollywood child stars, there was never any jealousy between Dow and Mathers. They played together between takes, sharing the struggles of growing up under the spotlight. This beautiful friendship didn't end when the cameras stopped rolling. It endured fiercely through life's ups and downs, right up until Tony Dow passed away in 2022. When Tony died, Mathers wrote a heartbreaking tribute, calling him the best brother, the best friend I could have asked for over the last 65 years. Number 10. The growing up with the character revolution. In the 1950s, sitcoms adhered to a golden rule: freeze time. Characters like Dennis the Menace or the cast of I Love Lucy were forever trapped at a specific age from one season to the next to guarantee consistency for the audience. But Leave It to Beaver executed a pioneering move, completely shattering that rule. The directors and writers decided to let the characters age in real time alongside the actors. When the show premiered, Beaver was a naive, toothless second grader, and Wally was an 8th grader. Over the course of 6 grueling seasons, audiences watched Beaver's voice drop and his curiosity about the world bloom, while Wally transformed into a high schooler dealing with more complex issues like learning to drive, playing sports, and dating girls. This bravery to abandon the safety of childhood and embrace change forged a profound connection. American audiences weren't just watching a TV show. They felt like they were genuinely raising 2 boys in their very own homes. Number 11. The physical secret behind the mother's pearls. The image of Mother June Cleaver, always bustling in the kitchen yet wearing a gorgeous flared dress, high heels, and a shining pearl necklace, became the classic icon of the American housewife. Millions of women at the time tried to emulate that supremely elegant style. But the truth is, Actress Barbara Billingsley wasn't trying to be glamorous or set a fashion trend at all. She was forced to wear those pearls to hide a physical flaw. Barbara had a fairly deep natural hollow at the base of her neck. Under the harsh lighting of a 1950s black and white studio set, this hollow cast a very awkward and unsettling shadow on screen. The pearl necklace was the perfect weapon to conceal that spot, allowing her to appear flawless. And what about the high heels? That was a cruel mandate from the director. As the show stretched on over the years, the two child actors playing her sons started shooting up in height. To maintain the authoritative image of a mother, the producers forced Barbara to trudge around in stiletto heels from dawn till dusk, simply so she wouldn't look short and tiny standing next to her rapidly growing boys. Number 12. The persistent I Love Lucy universe rumor. Before the internet existed to fact-check information, word-of-mouth rumors were pop culture's most terrifying weapon. For decades, a famous conspiracy theory claimed that Jerry Mathers had actually appeared in the comedy mega-hit I Love Lucy before becoming Beaver. Audiences were absolutely certain that in an episode where actress Lucille Ball holds a little boy during a dream sequence, the kid's chubby face looked exactly like Beaver's. People bought it hook, line, and sinker, believing that America's two biggest television universes had crossed over. However, Jerry Mathers himself had to step up and crush this illusion. The truth was exposed when researchers dug back into the I Love Lucy production files. The child in Lucille Ball's arms that day was actually twins Joseph and Michael Mayer taking turns. Mathers was nowhere near that set. A classic visual mix-up had completely fooled millions of viewers for over half a century. Number 13. The crushing pressure of outsider Tony Dow, playing Wally Cleaver, a mature, smart, polite big brother who always knew how to bail out his mischievous little sibling. Tony Dow became the national big brother in the eyes of every girl. Audiences thought that to act so naturally, he must have been a classically trained acting prodigy, but in reality, Tony was a complete outsider. Before the cameras rolled, his acting experience was a flat zero. He had never taken a drama class, never stood in front of a camera. From a diver accustomed only to the silence underwater, Tony was thrown onto a noisy studio set with dozens of cameras pointed at his face and massive scripts to memorize every single night. The pressure bearing down on this teenager's shoulders was so immense that he suffered from frequent insomnia. Tony had to work 3 times as hard as the other actors, studying every micro-expression of the veterans, just so he wouldn't become the black hole, dragging the whole show down. His rise from absolute zero proved he was born to play Wally. Number 14. The censorship blade that cut the ridiculousness. In the sitcom industry, audience laughter is the sole metric of success. Writers usually try to cram in the most profound puns and the most absurd slapstick situations just to force audiences to burst into hysterics. But Leave It to Beaver went completely against that money-making formula. Producers Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher established a brutally strict and eccentric unwritten rule at the writers' table. If during a script read-through, a line made the entire room laugh too loud, causing thunderous, explosive laughter, that line would be immediately crossed out. They absolutely did not want their show turning into a cheap, loud, and unrealistic comedy act. Their ultimate goal was to generate subtle smiles and empathetic nods. They wanted audiences to look at the TV and exclaim, "Oh my God, our boy did the exact same thing yesterday." It was this masterful restraint that allowed the show to live on forever. Number 15. The geographic mystery of Mayfield. One of the most agonizing questions that consumed rivers of ink from American cultural critics over the years was this: what corner of the U.S. map did the Cleaver family actually live in? Throughout all 234 episodes, viewers only knew they resided in a town called Mayfield, a totally vague, generic name with 0 geographic coordinates. Die-hard fans brought out magnifying glasses to scrutinize every frame for clues. In some episodes, characters mentioned a lake in Wisconsin not far away. A few episodes later, research teams discovered outdoor foliage backgrounds that had been secretly shot in Illinois. There was even a moment when a character blurted out something about commuting to Ohio. What is the truth? The truth is, the producers were deliberately playing a game of cat and mouse with the audience. They constantly changed street signs on set, scrubbed state names from letters, and distorted geographic distances in the dialogue. Their intent was profoundly deep. Mayfield isn't located in any specific state. It is Everytown, USA, a town representing every suburban neighborhood across America. By stripping away local identity, they turned the Cleavers into everyone's neighbors. Number 16. The real reason the show ended. In the brutal world of Hollywood, TV series rarely get to end on a fulfilling note. They are usually milked dry until the ratings hit rock bottom, and they are humiliatingly axed by the network. But Leave It to Beaver had a completely different exit. In 1963, while the show was still sitting pretty at the peak of fame and raking in piles of ad revenue, it abruptly announced its wrap. The reason behind this decision didn't come from the producers, but from the boy himself, Jerry Mathers. By that time, Jerry had turned 15 and was about to walk through the doors of high school. He realized that the grueling 12-hour daily shooting schedule under suffocating studio lights was slowly robbing him of the very core of his youth. Jerry bravely made a decision that few child stars dare to make. He asked to leave so he could attend a public high school, join the football team, get a girlfriend, and experience the life of a normal teenage boy. Despite their extreme regret, the producers had to accept the harsh reality. There couldn't be a show called Leave It to Beaver without the Beaver. Jerry's sacrifice of fame in exchange for a normal life gave the show an exit with its head held high. Number 17. The curse and the makeover that saved a career. The overwhelmingly massive success of playing Mother June Cleaver brought actress Barbara Billingsley fame, but simultaneously nailed her to the cruelest curse in cinema: typecasting. For nearly 2 decades after the show ended, not a single director wanted to hire Barbara. Because every time she stepped onto the screen, whether playing an assassin or a businesswoman, audiences could only see the shadow of a calm, pearl-wearing housewife. Her career sank into darkness and utter gridlock. A miracle only truly appeared in 1980, thanks to an insane decision by the directors of the disaster comedy Airplane. They invited Barbara to play an elderly, white-haired passenger who looked incredibly aristocratic. But the explosive moment hit when 2 black passengers on the plane couldn't communicate with the flight attendant in jive slang. Barbara's character stood up, confidently rattling off a stream of fluent, vulgar, and hyper-accurate street slang to translate. The scene of America's most elegant mother-spitting street slang triggered a seismic wave of laughter in theaters. Audiences went wild, and that bizarre role, lasting merely a few minutes, officially smashed the glass ceiling, rescuing Barbara from the giant shadow of June Cleaver forever. Number 18. The father's hidden power behind the camera. Audiences only saw actor Hugh Beaumont in warm sweaters, sitting in his armchair reading the newspaper and preaching morality to his kids. However, few knew that he was not just a mere actor. He was a true architect of the show's soul. Armed with screenwriting experience and a sharp mind from before joining the project, Hugh Beaumont personally took the helm as director for a whopping 23 episodes, including pivotal turning points and specifically the deeply emotional series finale. On set, his authority sometimes even overshadowed the producers. When he wasn't filming a scene, he didn't sit down to rest. He was constantly hauling cameras around, adjusting every angle. He dedicatedly pulled the 2 boys, Jerry and Tony, into a corner, teaching them how to enunciate, how to stutter perfectly to resemble the most confused kid possible. The warmth of Ward Cleaver on screen was essentially a reflection of director Hugh Beaumont in real life, a genuine teacher and father guiding the very spirit of the entire work. Number 19. The nostalgic reunion and the dark shadow of death. 2 decades after the show wrapped in 1983, a wave of nostalgia pushed the networks to produce a TV movie titled Still the Beaver. It was a seismic cultural event when the entire original cast, from Wally and Mother June down to supporting characters like Eddie Haskell, all agreed to return. Audiences shed tears seeing the little boy Beaver now as a middle-aged man, having tasted failure, gone through a divorce, and struggling to raise his kids. Yet this reunion, which should have been the most complete, was covered by a dark cloud of tragedy. The most crucial piece of the family, Father Ward Cleaver, was permanently missing. Actor Hugh Beaumont had suddenly passed away from a heart attack in 1982, exactly 1 year before this reunion project was greenlit. His departure left an unfillable void in the hearts of the actors. Instead of dodging this agonizing truth, the production team decided to face it head-on. The opening episode of Still the Beaver was dedicated entirely to the characters visiting the grave of Father Ward Cleaver. The tears falling on the grass that day from Jerry and Tony were not acting. They were genuinely weeping for their teacher, their second father. Number 20. The finale and decoding the Beaver. Mystery. And to close this vivid memoir, we come to fact number 20, a hidden detail that quenched the audience's thirst for curiosity after 6 long years. On June 20th, 1963, the final episode, titled Family Scrapbook, aired, drawing tens of millions of viewers. Leave It to Beaver became the very first television sitcom in American history to have a properly scripted series finale to say goodbye to its audience. In a highly nostalgic scene, the entire Cleaver family sat gathered around an old photo scrapbook. And finally, the show's biggest mystery was revealed. Why did a flesh-and-blood little boy carry the bizarre nickname Beaver? Father Ward Cleaver smiled and explained. When Theodore was born, big brother Wally was still a toddler just learning to speak. Wally struggled mightily to pronounce his little brother's name. Instead of saying Theodore, the boy kept twisting his tongue and mispronouncing it as Tweeter, and gradually the babbling Tweeter morphed into Beaver. It sounds overly simple. Even actor Jerry Mathers admitted he was a bit let down because the name's origin sounded too bland. But to art critics, it was a detail of genius. It wasn't fussy, it wasn't flashy, but it perfectly captured the absurd, authentic, and deeply loving logic of the childhood world. The scrapbook snapped shut. The Cleaver family walked into their house, leaving behind a massive void in American television history. From hidden psychological wounds and insane censorship battles to the shadow of death, Leave It to Beaver was actually vastly more complex and darker than the radiant smiles on screen. Out of these 20 truths, which story shocked you the most about this perfect family? Do you think forcing a child actor to wrap her chest in medical tape was a crime of 1950s Hollywood? Leave your opinions down in the comments section. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to join me as we continue unmasking the greatest cinematic masterpieces in the next videos.